Well, hello everybody. This is going to be a rather rapid tour through the world of virtual production television studios, interactivity, and addressability. Three of which things at the moment are top of mind in the industry for a lot of people, as we've discovered. So,
wait,
firstly,
real quick, your screen share is not showing yet. Apologies. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking, but we're not seeing it yet.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to share it in a minute. Don't worry. But thank you for the question. Quick intro to me. I'm Gavin Douglas. I'm the head of partnerships at Live CGI here. I was a TV producer for 15 years. I made Top Gear for the BBC, Big Brother, Mythbusters, various other kinds of shows during the years in Sydney, in London, in LA, and joined Live CGI because I had a company for 10 years, which basically was an interactive television company, and allowed people to vote on these smartphones onto graphics on ESPN, Fox Sports, CNN, and basically use the cloud to allow that graphic to change as the audience clicked on their screens at home. What we've done with Live CGI is take this and put it inside the studio there, so you can then click on the buttons reaching into the show rather than having a second screen experience. Plus a bunch of other things which are rather exciting, which I'm going to show you now. So let me do that. Let me share this screen. So the first thing to think about is, what is virtual production and why make it interactive and why make it addressable? So I'll counter that straight away with another question, which is, when we all have smartphones and touchable screens and laptops and PCs, and even the TV I was watching last night, watching Netflix with my Apple remote moving around the screen, these are all interactive, touchable touch screens, basically, but we can't touch them during the show. So you're watching your favorite show, and up to this point, over the last 5 decades, we've been able to watch the show, and more now we watch the show and then we go somewhere else to interact, either here or to your laptop or somewhere that isn't the show. The passion moment is in the show. The passion moment is in the script. The passion moment is in the host discussing the storyline. And so we felt very strongly that what we needed to do was bring those interactive moments inside the show, inside the studio, and allow the audience to actually physically reach in to touch the content, to shop, to spin things around, to answer questions, to bet even inside these studios. So as you can see on the screen here, the cloud-based production studio that we've built works on the Unreal Engine, and it cuts traditional production costs by 90%, because you're not having to build a very large piece of infrastructure with cables and cameras and operators and lights and reception and everything else. This is purely a 360 studio running on a computer. And obviously Jen, our lovely host here, is on green screen. And these guys who are the hosts of the NBA 2K League are on webcam. And that's very easy to drop them into 2 windows in the set and drop down monitors and move them around. And also to surround them by advertising and inventory. Down the bottom here is where I'm going to take you in the next couple of minutes, which is putting those objects, putting those pieces of content inside that studio in the foreground, where we allow the audience to touch them, move them around, play with them, buy them, etc. So I'm going to take a quick step back in time, like a month, to Wimbledon. The BBC did a great job of creating a virtual production studio here. This piece, bottom right, where the hosts are sitting with the desk and the chairs, is real. Outside the window is real, but everything else is completely virtual. And it makes a very small studio seem absolutely enormous. So that's one way of using virtual production techniques. Another way of using it is here, the Fox NASCAR studio, which has been around for just over 2 years now. Again, green screen hosts, beautifully done. And they have cars that race around the track inside the studio. They have Twitter feeds that go up the walls. They have everything. It's quite an awesome piece of kit. But again, with both of these, you can't reach in and touch it. Now, here's an example of where you can reach in and touch it. A home shopping website, for example. So if I reach in and touch this, I can do that. So we can now do that on various different sites, phones, and even now on smart TVs, if you have the right app installed. What we needed to do to answer the fundamental question, why can't we touch our favorite shows, such as Fox, NASCAR, and Wimbledon, and others, home shopping networks, etc., was we've got to bring those two things together. So we start with, obviously, our host, Jen, on a green screen. As you can see, it is a very small studio compared to what it looks like when we put her in situ in the studio. So this is one of our dozen studios that we built. At the moment, we're launching with a home shopping network, which is a studio half the size of this, maybe more like a game show studio. As you saw earlier, there's the NBA 2K studio and various other studios that we do. The beauty about virtual production, that this could be the inside of a submarine, right? It could be the cockpit of an aircraft. It could be a cloud bank. It could be a beach. It could be anything. We've chosen, because traditional television is done inside a studio, to begin with studios. Down the track, we can do anything we like with it, whatever is required by the industry. But at the moment, it's studio, 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 and putting interactivity in there that people can touch. So in a second, I'm going to show you a live demonstration of how it's possible to actually physically reach in and do that. So as I said, it runs on the Unreal Engine, Fortnite, Gears of War, Epic Games, the story, it's $1 billion business. What we did was we took the Unreal Engine and basically modded it up and put layers on top of it that allow us to put things in the foreground that people can actually reach in and touch. The very interesting thing here is that in the background and on the floor and on the ceiling, everything around it, including the shirt, are in the Unreal Engine. So it's a video game that you're watching. It just looks like a TV show, and you will never not look like a TV show if that's what you want it to look like. Jen is still here, our faithful host. And because it's a video game and you as the TV producer are now running a video game, you're able to do a bunch of interesting things with it. Obviously, what we've discovered over the time we've been doing this is that there's three priorities of the people that we're talking to in the industry. One is they want to drive viewership, because viewership is going all over the place at the moment, from 10, 15 years ago when it was in one single place, and now it's spread across the gamut of television and media and social video. They want to drive viewership to their particular show, and this is one way of doing that. They want to collect data. Well, you have people log in, name, address, telephone number, email address, location, and then we collect data on that person's habits and preferences, which then affects what's going to come next, like this. So if, for instance, this was a betting show, Mike, who lives in Philadelphia, gets a bet, an over and under on the Philadelphia 76ers, but Veronica in Washington would get a different bet, and Jacob would get a different bet in Jacksonville, or a different shirt, or a different pair of shoes, or a different whatever you wanted it to be. Because we're able not just to put things in the foreground and put things on monitors and have people touch them, but this is where the addressability comes in. We're able to make the content in those areas, whether it's a piece of a good piece of merchandise, a ticket, or a bet, addressable to that one single individual. because they're logged in and we know a little bit about them, either geolocated as they are here or something else, just a straightforward male-female split. So all the men get one thing and all the women get another thing. And you can take that down to the nth degree. So let's jump into the demo here. There we go, enter it up. Here we go. So this is looking at the logo on the wall of the studio that I showed you earlier, the big warehouse. So we'll come off the wall, and you'll have to forgive the internet if it jumps around a little bit because we're on multiple connections here. But here's Jen doing a thing in the studio. I've turned the volume down so you can hear me. And we're going to bring up, as we said before, as I said, a interactive window. Anything in this studio could be made interactive. We could touch any of it. But in this case, we're selling orange Houston shirts for 10% off. And in the background there is the virtual production studio, green screen host, window with content. So this is already one step beyond anything that's been done before. In the past, you would have to have a studio, virtual or not, and layer over the top a new layer of on the web that's clickable and touchable. This is not that. This is taking the 360 Unreal Engine environment, going into it and putting the content inside the studio so it is part of the storyline. There's no layers that have to be configured for multiple devices. This is one stream, one action, one complete show, and you're locking the audience inside the studio so they can't escape, basically, rather than having them going off to Amazon or TikTok or somewhere else, Facebook or somewhere else to go, or Spotify or Shopify or anywhere else. You want them in your show because that's what you spent your millions of dollars to get them there and to keep them there. So what happens next? Well, let's put something in the studio we can touch. And remember, the fundamental question we're answering here is, why can't we touch our touch screens? Well, now we can. So I'm now touching my laptop screen and having a closer look at this Philadelphia shirt. Again, if it's juddering around, apologies for the internet connections between us and everybody else. So I'm also able to not just have shirts up here, but how about a laptop? Let's have a look at this laptop. Let's have a little spin. That's nice. Looks like the one I have right now. And I can buy it. So I'm going to click on the buy button down the bottom and put it in the cart, top right. So let's see what else we got here. A blender. It's a bit like a game show, isn't it? $39.99. That's pretty good for a blender like that. I like it. I might buy that too. And obviously, it doesn't have to be just laptops and blenders and shirts. It could be a game show with a big question. And the audience can reach in and answer the question and win a prize. They flick it away if they want to. It's beginning to move the entire environment around the viewer rather than having it as a flat, untouchable piece of content. Or a bet, as we showed earlier. So this is still not hyper personalized. This is still just the ability to touch, feel, buy, and bet. I'll come to the hyper personalized piece in just a second. So there's a pair of shoes, not quite my size. What we got here? Oh yeah, look at that. So this is all inside the Unreal Engine. This is not a photo of a piece of jewelry. This is built as a 3D object, just like the glove was at the beginning. But what we've done now is we've taken the NASCAR, Fox, the Wimbledon style studios and then placed the objects or the piece of content in the middle of it, or the bet on the screen, and allowed the audience to interact in real time, second by second, during the story, in those passion moments. So that drives viewership. It allows you to collect data, because it's a data collection machine. And it definitely drives significant amount of revenue because it's now seamless shopping. It's seamless betting. You're actually putting the two things in the same place. Let's see if we've got something else there before I finish. Oh yeah, game controller. Nice. Look around the back, look over the top, lovely. Put it back together. And then finally, we have interactive and addressable. So this is back in our big studio. There's Jen still talking. And here's my Philadelphia shirt. So I'm able to do the spin again, have a look around it. The beauty of this is completely addressable. So because I live in Philadelphia, I'm getting a red shirt for Philadelphia. If I lived in LA, I'd be getting a blue shirt. If I lived in New York, I'd be getting a green shirt, etc. That's how addressable this can be, because we're all watching a different feed of a video game that looks like a television show.